It's a wave of shock and disbelief that has gripped the entire entertainment industry due to the untimely death of actor and model Shefali Jariwala. She was known to millions as the Kaanta Laga girl. Shefali was an actor and model. She passed away at the mere age of 42. The initial reports saying that she suffered a sudden cardiac arrest late on Friday night. Her husband, actor Prayag Tyagi, rushed her to the hospital from their Hanzeri residence, but the doctors declared her brought dead. The body was then moved to Cooper Hospital for a post-mortem. Mumbai police and the forensics teams were at her residence. The police said that the cause of death is yet to be confirmed. Shefali's last post on the social media platform was a photo shoot which featured her in a sequenced metallic jumpsuit. She captioned the post, "Bling it on, baby." A very disturbing trend has now emerged. Growing number of Indian artists are passing away far too soon due to sudden cardiac arrests. From Siddharth Shukla to Puneet Rajkumar, Chiranjeevi and even singer KK. All of them bid farewell a long time before they were bid farewell before their time. All of them were in their early 40s. This rising trend is something that a lot of people are now looking at and asking questions about. Why is it that we are seeing so many people dying because of cardiac arrest? My colleague Bhavna
We are all
Agrawal.
sad and shocked to hear the tragic demise of one of the finest actors, Shefali Jariwala. A very good human being, a brilliant actress, and a great loss to the industry. I, on behalf of the Directors Association, IMPA, and Federation of Western India Senior Employees, pay my respect and tributes, my condolences to the family of Shefali.
Why are younger people also getting increased risk of cardiac arrest and heart attacks? Is because if you look at the risk factors for coronary artery disease, which can result in heart attacks, which is also one of the causes of cardiac arrest. So things like obesity, overweight, diabetes, high blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol levels. So these have been increasing in younger population also, and to add to that stress, lack of sleep, and overworking. So all these risk factors are there in younger population also, which could increase the risk of heart attack, which could also result into cardiac arrest.
My colleague Bhavna Agrawal is now joining me from right outside the Cooper Hospital. This is the hospital where the post-mortem is now taking place. Bhavna, there is utter shock, there is disbelief, gone too soon. A lot of people are saying for her millions of fans, she was the Kaanta Laga girl.
Absolutely. It has come as a shock to everyone, like you said, because she was merely 42 and to suffer a cardiac arrest.
Escaping at the moment is something that is of concern to everyone, especially the industry. We saw many.
The industry, we saw many her friends from the industry put up condolences posts and express their shock at this very incident, of course. And then we had Parag, and we saw the footages of him being extremely distraught after having brought her body to the Cooper Hospital, where the post-mortem currently is ongoing. We saw the police arrive a couple of minutes before the post-mortem, which is supposed to be held here at the Cooper Hospital in Mumbai. We should know the reason behind this in a while from now, because there has been, let me remind you, there has been no statement made by the hospital so far ascertaining what the actual cause of her death was. Prima facie, of course, as per reports, it has been said that she suffered a cardiac arrest last night and was declared dead by the doctors upon being brought at the hospital last night. But we are waiting for the actual report to be out so that we can ascertain what the real cause was. But at the moment, like you said, I am outside the Cooper Hospital, keeping my eyes on everything that is happening inside. Back to you.
Right, Bhavna. My colleague Bhavna is standing right outside the Cooper Hospital in Mumbai. My colleague Sneha Murdani is also joining me on this broadcast, and Dr. Ajit Menon, who's the Director of Cardiac Sciences at the Reliance Foundation Hospital, joining me from Mumbai. Coming to you now, Sneha. We have seen a very disturbing trend, Sneha, and which begs the question. A lot of people are now asking, why are we seeing cardiac arrest taking place in such young people?
The thing here is that you rightly asked that question about the fact that younger people are succumbing to cardiac arrest. What I also want to point out is that it was usually seen as a disease in older men above the age of 50 to 60. but now being seen in younger men. And also, something that we tend to discount is the fact that women are not susceptible. It's absolutely wrong to believe that. Women are also succumbing to cardiac arrest, and the reason that doctors have been attributing it to, and one very frequent question that gets asked is whether this is linked to the vaccine or not. Now, in my conversation with the doctors, including the doctor's bite that we just played out, was that it would have been seen as an immediate impact or a side effect of the vaccine. It would have been happening 3 years ago, but it's happening now. And the reason could be many. But to say that it's been linked to the COVID vaccine may be erroneous at this point in time, because it's something that has been ruled out by the Indian Council of Medical Research as well. I know I'll be getting a lot of brickbats for saying the same, but the fact that COVID has been linked to, myocarditis is something that has not been ruled out. It's been established, in fact. So the COVID linked to the heart health is something that has been looked at as long COVID, but not so much as our vaccines linked to poor cardiac health. Also, I want to tell you that doctors have been talking about this, that the incidence of heart attack in the younger population has been rising, but so has been obesity and the onset of type 2 diabetes, which is not an autoimmune but a lifestyle disorder. So lifestyle diseases by and large are being seen in the younger population. For example, fatty liver was never seen in the younger population, but it's now being seen in almost every third person in the national capital, for example. The increase in lifestyle diseases being seen in more number of people, and obviously India's got a significant chunk of the younger population, is something that's being seen across diseases, not just cardiac ailments. And sitting, sedentary lifestyle, smoking, air pollution, mind you, again is something that is being deeply linked. Let me tell you that our consumption of processed food has gone up multiple times. Rise in obesity levels doubled in the last 1 decade, is what the government data says, not
Right.
any private data. So all of this is linked to poor health. I can also say that doctors have for a very long time now been emphasizing on the fact that essentially above the age of 30, you have to get an annual checkup done, which includes your heart health as well. Our bad cholesterol is something that needs to be measured. Our
Right.
blocked arteries is something that needs to be checked. So after the autopsy report is what we'll know what the exact cause of the cardiac event was. It could be anything in the victim, in the actor who succumbed.
Right.
But without saying that, this is just my thoughts and my observations, of course, after in conversation with doctors and from whatever I have studied.
Right, Sneha. Dr. Menon, coming to you now, the other question that is, that a lot of people are now asking, do we need to look out for certain signs? Are there certain signs that can actually tell us that a heart is becoming weak, or that there is a possibility that we could in some time get a heart attack or a cardiac arrest? Any signs that you can talk to us about?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. I think this is an extremely important topic, given the fact that, yes, we are seeing a lot many more youngsters coming with cardiac problems. One thing I would like to define here is cardiac arrest versus a heart attack. Cardiac arrest is an electrical activity where the heart actually stops. The reason for a cardiac arrest can be many. A heart attack can give rise to a cardiac arrest. Muscle inflammations with an irregular rhythm can give rise to a cardiac arrest. So when we define cardiac arrest is the end point where the heart electrical activity stops and the heart comes to a standstill. Now, coming to your question, in terms of what we see today, we are seeing an increased incidence of youngsters, and I think I would agree that we have an increased. It's basically a lifestyle disease. And if you look at the lifestyles of youngsters and even middle-aged gentlemen, I think that's something which we need to sort of tone down on a little bit and come to terms with the fact that none of us are none of us are immortal or not subject to any of these things. There are always certain signs and symptoms which we always neglect. We often think that, oh, it is acidity. It's something which is just burning in the chest. It's not cardiac. Typically, remember that any symptom, any untoward symptom in the chest or in the upper abdomen, which comes up usually on exertion, usually on walking, or sometimes in the middle of the night while sleeping, and you have to get up and sit up with that. And if it comes up on exertion, the moment you stop exerting, the symptom goes away. That is not acidity. That is cardiac. If you start feeling unduly breathless, something you used to do on a regular basis, and today you can't do it because that activity makes you breathless, be careful. Look at, get yourself checked out. A lot of times, a lot of these symptoms are ignored by patients, and thereby you end up in a situation where you have a massive cardiac problem, and you end up in a and you end up in a cardiac arrest, from which sometimes getting you out, unless you are in a hospital or in a situation where you have access to medical care, you may not be revived.
Dr. Menon, you spoke about lifestyle. What exactly do you mean by lifestyle? Because if we speak about celebrities, most of them by and large make sure that they exercise, they eat right. So in that sense, we have heard a lot of people speaking about lifestyle, that the lifestyle has changed, and lifestyle is actually leading to all these things.
Yeah. One factor that is non-quantifiable is stress. You can't quantify stress. Stress is a major factor when it comes to cardiac diseases, or for that matter, any disease. It's not, everyone has stress. It's the way you react to stress that matters, and that determines what your disease process is going to. Second, yes, they do exercise, but again, I would like to reiterate that excess of anything is always bad. Because what happens typically in these patients, in a lot of these patients, is you have plaques, that means deposits of cholesterol inside the lining of the arteries, which are hardly 30-40%. But the cholesterol amount in the plaque determines whether these plaques are so-called vulnerable plaques or not. Now, suppose a gentleman has an asymptomatic, completely normal individual, has a plaque in the coronary artery, which is a cholesterol-laden plaque, and he exercises beyond a certain limit. His heart rate goes up to very high levels. Automatically, these plaques can rupture and expose the cholesterol to flowing blood, and that forms a clot, and you get a massive heart attack on the spot. This is typically what happens in gyms when people walking on treadmills, etc., suddenly experience a heart attack, and they fall down. Again, you will ask me the question, how do you diagnose these? It's difficult to diagnose it. I can't tell everyone that go and get a CT angiogram done. But I would say that whatever exercise you do it in a graded fashion. Do it within your limits. Do not try to overstep your boundaries as far as exercise is concerned. Too much of anything is
Right.
always bad.
Right. Dr. Menon, please stay with me. My colleague Bhavna is also standing right outside the hospital. Bhavna, you were also saying that we will get some clarity in some hours to come. If you can tell us what exactly are the details that the police at the moment has with regards to the sudden death that we are now seeing, just at the age of 42.
Absolutely. From whatever we have known so far, the police is also yet to ascertain, so they have not clearly said what the actual cause is. Of course, prima facie, we know that it is a case of reported cardiac arrest, which she suffered last night. That is what, and in fact, the police has also recorded the statement as per the sources from her husband, Parag Tyagi, at their residence, and of course, a few other people, perhaps the staff members as well, but we don't know for sure what the reason has been. The police has also asked us to keep calm before they could get the post-mortem report. The post-mortem currently is ongoing at the hospital. We will only know the real cause and a certain cause behind her death once the post-mortem report is out. We're expecting the report to be out perhaps by this afternoon. Only then we can for sure say that this is why Shefali Jariwala, passed away. But right now, we are going to hold on to what we know so far, which is that this is a case of reported sudden cardiac arrest, which she suffered last night. Back to you.
Right, Bhavna. Dr. Menon, you were speaking about the fact that one needs to make sure that even if you exercise, the exercise is not too much. Regular checkups, specific tests, is that something that you would ask people to do?
I would definitely advise that. And one factor, which is a factor which plays a lot of role, is a family history. And when I say a family history, if anyone any person has had a father who's had a cardiac event before the age of 60, before the age of 50, 55, or a mother who's had it before 60, especially a mother, mind you, especially a mother. Don't ask me why, but this is something which I've seen in my clinical practice. especially if a mother before the age of 60, that person has to be extremely careful in getting himself investigated on a regular basis. And I would say that maybe 30 is an early age, but by the age of 30, 35, a regular stress test and a regular blood test would give you some idea if there is anything brewing inside you. Uh, Typically, if you look at the guidelines, broad, any person who's diabetic and below the age of 40 should undergo a regular health checkup once a year or once in 2 years. And that should include not only the blood test. The blood tests don't tell you anything. You can have a high cholesterol with no blockages. You can have a low cholesterol with multiple blockages. So the blood tests don't tell you anything. What you need to do is you need to do a exercise stress test in these patients, and quite often you may pick up an asymptomatic positive stress test, which may give an indication that these patients are heading towards some problem. Keep these patients under regular checks. And if you have a family history, mind you, get a blood test done, look for certain parameters which can indicate that you have a hereditary trait. And if you do have it, be careful that you could be a possible candidate in the future. Look out for your symptoms, look out for your regular checkups, and just be careful. That doesn't mean that you don't live your life normally, but with a little bit of caution in terms of looking at these parameters.
Dr. Menon, it's a very controversial topic, but I do need to ask you, do you think COVID also is responsible for the kind of changes that we are seeing now?
It is extremely controversial, but this is my personal view. I'm not talking on behalf of anyone. I think I told people a long time back that we have had the COVID virus as a viral illness. But what are the effects of COVID? What are the long-term effects of COVID is something which only time will say. And I don't think we have any way or any model where we can link these deaths or these parameters